myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on that thought.
Morning, welcome to Steve Wraith's podcast. Just thought I'd do a quick review on the 3D Fight Club of the weekend, because obviously I went down with Tony Sayers and Denny Blades, a couple of good pals of mine, and we took in the atmosphere. And first of all, I just want to congratulate Dougie and Dean, the two guys behind us, because they have really done something which is not easy. They've put on an event which takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of organising, and it takes a lot of running. And myself, I've been involved obviously in the unlicensed game. I did 9 years in the unlicensed boxing game. I did 9 years in the professional game, and I know what it takes to put on a good show. And the guys did well. Got to say, first and foremost, well done to Ash McGivern, because Ash really was the glue that kept all of this together. He was absolutely superb on the day, on the night, and deserves a massive pat on the back. He really stepped up to the plate after the death of our good friend John from Jab. He was instrumental, I guess, in a lot of the to and fro on the night. He organised the fighters, he organised the ring girls, he sorted the medical stuff out. I just thought, well done, Ash. I've got to say that, mate, because I've been in your shoes. In fact, I think I said to you on that night, you're doing what I normally do at a show, and it's very, very difficult. And it was just good to see that Dean and Dougie could have somebody who they could rely on and call on in their first show and first event, because it is teamwork that makes these kind of events work. And without Ash, I think it would have been very difficult. So well done, mate. You stepped up to the plate, and I'm sure you will do well if you decide to move into these kind of events on a full-time basis. Okay, the event itself, the venue, Bowlers Exhibition Centre. I've been to Manchester many, many times. I've been down for nights out. I've been to different venues. Been to see Ricky Hatton. Was lucky enough to be invited down to Ricky Hatton's big celebration of his show in Manchester, where the 10-year anniversary of his win over Costa Zoo. And I went to the warehouse down there, and that is absolutely fantastic. What a great place! So I'd never been to Bowlers, and obviously as you find it on the sat nav, you're heading towards Old Trafford, and it's basically in the middle of an industrial estate. Great place to have a fight venue. First of all, you get there, and like a lot of these places, it's a big corrugated iron building, and you just think, is this going to be as good inside? Is this going to be the right kind of place for a boxing match, boxing venue? And walked in, and it blew me away. I have got to be honest, it blew me away. Folks, what a wonderful venue that is. It was decked out, as many of you have seen for the photographs, and some of you will have seen from the coverage on the internet. It was decked out. It was well presented, put it that way. Dean was there, Ash was there. I mean, Ash, as I say, was running around all over the place. Dean was really welcoming, so thank you, Dean. As I say, we'd only ever met on the internet. He was the perfect host. He went out of his way really to introduce me to a lot of the fighters and a lot of the people behind the scenes. And I saw a couple of familiar faces there. I saw John, obviously from Relentless Media, aka the Criminal Underworld. Rocco was there as well. The guy from he's done a lot of videos there. He was working on the pay-per-view. And it was just, it was a good feel. Everything was done professionally. The amount of equipment that was there for the pay-per-view, you knew it wasn't going to be an issue with it. But ultimately, we'll come to that. There was a little issue. Anyway, moving forward, the build up to the show becomes, exciting as the fighters arrive. So obviously we got a chance to meet all of the, all of the lads coming in, and that was the surreal part. The best part of the night, I guess, for me, was getting a chance to meet a lot of those people who I've got to know over lockdown on YouTube. The likes of Ben Hatchett, the likes of Tony Gooch, the likes of Motor Buggy Sports, the likes of Rocco, people who I've only got to know through the whole YouTube community. Obviously, Sean Atwood was there as well. It was good to catch up with him and to catch up with Jen. And there was a smattering of celebrities as well, local celebrities, fighters. Was it Bad Boy Chiller there was there as well, and it was just nice to see a good collection of people. You can tell when you walk into a venue that if there's going to be trouble or not. And I think that was one people, a lot of people were wary, is this going to kick off? Is there going to be a situation here where, there's two sides come to blows outside the ring rather than inside the ring? But I'll tell you now, the atmosphere in that venue was fantastic. It was great. There was just a lot of love in the room. We've got to be perfectly honest. There was a lot of people there just out to have a good night. And although lockdown sanctions have been lifted for a while, it was that being out of the house and being in a community, being with the boxing community again, I think for people was something that was very, very special and very evident at that place. As the fighters came in, got a chance to speak to a few of them. As I said, Bobby K couldn't have been more welcoming. I first got to see him on the old on the old Karma Corner channel when he was doing a bit of a rib take of him on one of his videos, and he was a really genuine guy, draped in his Scotland's flag, and just he really thought that he could come down and do well and win, and you can't take that away from him. It takes guts to get in there. As for Ben. Ben arrived. As I say, I've met him only online. Really nice kid, good crack. But he was coming to do the job. And in boxing, of course, you don't get done. You don't get paid for overtime. And he made it quite clear that he would be, putting Bobby K out of his misery in round one. As for the rest of the fighters, Fighting Trolls came down. I mean, for me, Paul, I've been on the Snake Pit a few times. Again, always comes across as a very genuine kid. It's clear he has trained to some degree and got himself into a relatively fit shape. And, he was focused when he arrived. But I think what probably did for Paul was the waiting game. There's nothing worse than having to wait to get in the ring. And some fighters love that. Some fighters can chill. They put their headphones on. They'll go listen to some music, and they'll relax. Paul was, constantly walking around, and me and Tony and Denny, who were down there, we all noticed that. That he just seemed to be getting more and more, not agitated, but it's how do you occupy yourself when you're waiting to go in. I don't really know Ash, and I haven't really seen a great deal of him on YouTube. I know he is on YouTube, so, apologies, Ash. But, I got the impression when Ash arrived that he meant business. And that I was looking forward to seeing Ben fight, although I didn't think it was going to last very long. But I was looking forward to Paul against Ash, as well. Because, look, Paul talked all the way through. We promoted this really well, and at the second press conference really went to town. And I was looking forward to seeing Paul fight. I was looking forward to seeing all of the the title fights as well, because I don't know anything about these kids. I am not really engrossed in BKB. I'd been to a couple in the Northeast, been a couple in Newcastle, and got to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a break away from being involved in the pro game, which I am, but it was just fantastic to watch some of those professional fights. If you like, the top rank BKB guys. I think once the fighting started, and I mean there was a young novice started, and like I mentioned before, Dean couldn't have been any more welcoming. He introduced me to a lot of these fighters, and I'll tell you what is positive about this 3D Fight Club. Forget the criticism, forget people having a pop, which I know people will, but a lot of these people Dean introduced me to all had a backstory. And what do I mean by that? I mean that they weren't just getting in there to try and knock the opponent out because they like violence. They were doing it because they were trying to turn their lives around. Some of them were recovering drug addicts. Some of them were criminals who'd recently been released and were trying to find their feet, get themselves some legitimate money and start again. Some of them were fighting for charities who were, which meant something to them. And we're trying to put something back into society. Some of them had relatives who were seriously ill, and a charity which doesn't really receive a great deal of backing, they were trying to raise money for that. So, from my perspective, that was fantastic to hear. Some of it was Dean trying to get people away from knife crime and away from a life of violence and have something to focus on, which was positive. An 9-week training camp towards a goal, and then if you do well in this, you can fight on the next one, you can do this and do that, and it's positivity. And what Dean was really hammering forward on the night, whenever he introduced somebody, was trying to make a difference with this. And you can't take anything away from anybody who is trying to make a difference in their own community, and that for me is what I would walk away from 3D Fight Club remembering, that they had done such a valiant effort to try and help a few people. So let's get to the fights. Most of you won't know the fighters, from Manchester. There were some great fights, and I mean, you've got to pick out probably, the young lad Swan, who was fantastic. I know there was a bit of controversy later on. That was a great show of how to fight in the BKB. Other names, Leighton Lawson stood out. You've got some big fighters, Aaron Jones and Mickey Ord. I mean, watch it back when the footage comes out, and you'll see the difference between BKB fighters and YouTube fighters. And it's not a game where you can hide. You cannot hide in that ring. And it was just fantastic to see, some of these guys fled. Stuart Anderson, another one, who for me, really, really stood out. But watch it back when the footage is available, and I think that'll be happening very, very soon. And just sit back and enjoy it for what it is. It is a good spectator sport. It gets people out of their seats, and it gets people excited. The YouTube fights are exactly what they are, YouTube fights. Ben Hatchett's probably the only one out of the 4 names that I mentioned who, has fighting experience. Bobby Kay against Ben Hatchett didn't last very long. 2 knockdowns. Ben did the job. As I say, you don't get paid for overtime. Bobby earns credit for getting in there and doing it. And if he's done some training, that'll have been good for his physical condition and good for his mental health. I wouldn't advise Bobby to go back in again, if I'm perfectly honest, or if he does, then find an opponent who is level with you, mate. Don't go back in with somebody as experienced as Ben, because next time you might not be as lucky. You could get seriously hurt. That would be my honest opinion to you, Bobby. As for Paul fighting trolls, well, of course, he fought Ash. And I thought that was probably, for a YouTube fight, pretty good, it has to be said. I think Paul did the right thing in not continuing. I think if he got up and continued, I think Ash probably would have, maybe he's done a little bit more damage. As it is, Ash walks away with the credit and, the bragging rights, if you like. Paul walks away with, his looks intact, all of his faculties, and a bit of, a lot of credit for getting in there, because Paul, I wouldn't do it myself, mate. So well done on both of you for getting in, for sorting your differences out, and for ultimately, backing up what you say on YouTube, because it's difficult. It's not easy to do that, And I get the impression, Paul, I think if you'd gone in first, Paul, it would have been a bit easier for you. I think it would have been better. I think the fact that you had to wait around for so long, I genuinely feel that, that probably didn't help your nerves. That's just me suggesting that, by the way. I don't genuinely think that waiting around helped you. I heard your videos yesterday saying you're probably going to go and do it again. You probably could, Paul, but God, it's not for me, mate. It's really not for me. But yeah, overall, look, the fights, as I say, I'm not going to bore you too much and stay on too long, but I genuinely wanted to come on and just say I thought it was good for the first attempt. And as I say, I'm I had to start somewhere. My very first unlicensed show was at a place called Felon Social Club. You know, I had 400 capacity. I managed to squeeze 500 in, I think, completely against regulations. But it was a great night. And I was buzzing after that night. Now, the lads should duly be buzzing as well, because, you know, they went a step bigger than I would have ever gone on my first promotion. They went for a venue which I think, and I don't know, and I haven't checked it up, I think that capacity for that venue probably must be in the region of 3,000. I suppose it'll be easy to Google it, which I should have done before I came on. But I would say there was probably, give or take, 1,200 people there. And that's just me assuming. You couldn't count them. The way the tables were all out and the way that people were spread out, standing around bars and what have you, was very difficult to say. But my estimation would have said around about 1,200. Everybody was well behaved. There was no trouble, and as I say, there was a lot of love in that room. What could they have done a little bit better? And again, this is only because of my experience in events. The only thing I would have changed, first of all, I would never have done pay-per-view for the first one. I would have probably streamed it out on YouTube live myself, you know, in some way, shape or form. That way, if there's a problem with the streaming, it's free and nobody complain. I probably would have shortened the walk in. That's the only thing I would have changed. I think the long walk from the dressing room area along the stage and down, I think if we just shortened it, I think just shorten it and have a bit more razzmatazz at that end when people are coming in, something on screens perhaps or something like that. That's it. That's probably all I would have changed. And I mean, that's not a criticism. That's a suggestion. I think that's just what I would have changed. I would have done it slightly differently. But overall, as you know, for a night out, for a fight fan, and paying the money that you paid, I think that those who attended the venue certainly got value for money. And I think that this can grow and grow. And I think it'll sit alongside the other BKB organisations. I know they've got big plans. I know that they want to go out and take it elsewhere. They want to come to Newcastle. I know they want to go to other cities. I never branched out that far. I stuck in my hometown and just built it up there and did 38 plus unlicensed fights. You can find them on my playlist, unlicensed playlist. Watch back some of the shows. They're all edited, so there's just the fights on, so you can watch them in 2-3 minute bursts, but well worth watching. But I just stuck to Newcastle. I never had the ambition to go off and do them elsewhere. But these guys do, and good luck to them. As for the pay-per-view, my understanding is that the issue with the pay-per-view was very simple. It was a simple case of a wire being or a plug being unplugged from something, and the system went down. It was working before the show, and ultimately you don't know as somebody who is putting out pay-per-view until people start complaining. And when people start complaining and it goes viral, as it you know, ultimately probably did, I was at the show, I don't know, then, you know, that's when your problems start. It's why I have always boxed away from it. It's or leave it to the tech guys, because I'm not technically minded. But, you know, by all accounts, the pay-per-view came back on and it was fine. But, you know, that doesn't mean that people are happy. You know, that's something that they have to sort out. Again, that's an after-show hangover. As for people saying they've not been paid, Ben Hatchett's just done a video. I've just shared it. Ben was paid. Ben's been paid 50%. He gets paid 50% later on. And I'm sure the guys will be sorting it out. You know, they will get, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of the wages. I'm not involved. I was a guest at the show. But I am sure that everybody will get their money. And, you know, why not? It was a cracking show. Everybody did really well. And once again, congratulations to Dougie, congratulations to Dean, and well done to Ash. It was lovely to see Nicola there, Johnny Owen's wife. Obviously, as I mentioned before, John Owen lost his life in the start of the year and at the start of this journey, really. And you know, to see an auction being done for him was fantastic. I'm sure other people will be happy to raise money for John's family moving forward. But it was just nice to see Nicola there. And I know it was a very emotional event for Nicola. And yeah, you know, I just wish her all the best. And I'm always at the end of the phone, Nicola. if you ever need anything, you know that. Of course, I stepped into the ring, well-publicised challenge, which I was asked to do, and it looks like the response is a no. I'll leave it to Dougie and Dean now. I was asked to get in the ring and do that particular announcement on behalf of Stephen, and we will see what comes of it. I'm sure that story will run and run. But ultimately, Dougie and Dean, it's over to you guys on that, and I'm sure you will, when you plan your next show, pursue it to see whether you can get any leverage from it. I think it will be a cracking fight between two people who are roughly the same age, roughly the same in fitness, who I think would give good entertainment, and certainly on the internet. Okay, I'm going to drip into the comments before I finish. Well done on the show, guys. That's all I want to say. We'll look with interest as to what happens with what happens. Lily Toxicity, hope you're well. Good day, people. Humphrey's in the house. Morning, Mark. Hope you're all well. How many attended roughly, says Jeff? Well, as I say, I mean, I can't give you the exact figures because I wasn't involved in the show. But I would say around about 1,200. I thought 1,200. And of course, if it's a venue which holds 3,000, 1,200 doesn't look chock-a-block. But for your first night, Jeff, to do 1,200 tickets, absolutely superb. Well done to the lads. It's no mean feat to do that. You know what I mean? No mean feat to do that at all. Mark, thank you very much, mate. It's nice to get that kind of feedback. Lily says, was some good fights. You sounded confident on the mic. Can tell you've been in the position before. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I do that on a regular basis. I mean, obviously done my shows before, up and down the country as well, and different things that I've done. So yeah, going on a microphone is easy, but I'm pleased to do that. Mark, I don't know is the honest answer, but I would imagine that all of that will be sorted out within the next few days. As I say, it takes time for money to get through banks and stuff like that, you know, pay-per-view, etc. So, look, Mark, it's got nothing to do with me, and really it's got nothing to do with anybody else. As long as people get paid, as I'm sure they will do, then I don't think anybody will have any complaints. Nilo, yeah, I mean, he came out on his channel this morning. I've shared the video. Essentially, Nilo, he just said because he was a late addition, because obviously he was off the show, he was on the show, he was off the show, then back on. He agreed because of his financial position, because he was, you know, he's by his own admission, he didn't have any money. He was paid 50% up front, and he gets the next 50% within a few days of the fight. And I think Ben's mentioned that on his own channel as well, with other BKB networks that he's worked for, companies he's worked for, it's usually within 5 days of the fight. Daryl says, agree, Ash is the top lad, very dismissive of people asking about pay-per-view refunds, and the majority that didn't get the fight. Again, Daryl, I don't know what the ins and outs are, because I was at the show, I didn't pay pay-per-view, and I can understand, look, it's a minefield pay-per-view. It's an absolute minefield. And there will always be technical issues. I mean, back in the day when people used to do pay-per-view events, it was down to someone's internet. So, you know, you could have somebody who lives in Buckingham Palace, who's got the best internet, who can watch a stream perfectly. And you can get somebody who lives in a shed, who is dealing with Wi-Fi off the phone, who genuinely cannot watch it. And they'll be the ones who are complaining. You know what I mean? So there we go. Liz says it was half empty in the shambles of a night. Liz, were you there? Were you actually there? If you were there, you know, let us know what else you think. But I genuinely don't feel that was the case. I was there, and I've given my opinions. 5 weeks for payment, says Phil. I'm not sure where you got your information from. They were too ambitious for the first show, says Gary. Look, nothing wrong with ambition, Gary. And like I say, when I did my first show, I went for a social club. And it was 400 capacity, and I got 500 in. We're squeezing people in. But ultimately, there's nothing wrong with ambition. And that's what I said to Dougie at the end of the night. There's nothing wrong with having ambition. You've reached for the stars, and it can only get better. Because I think a lot of people who were there, right, will walk away from that show and go, actually, that was a really good night. I just genuinely can't see how people who were there would complain about it, because it was a good night, it was good entertainment, and there was no trouble. That's all you want from a night out, mate. Really. 1,200, mate. I did say, James, earlier on a live follow us as fighters get paid today, Fuse TV has said. So there you go. There's lots of rumors and stuff flying around, and that's what happens. YouTube, you know, YouTube is not all facts. Some of it is fiction. Still waiting on the pay-per-view, says Rooster. I've got no idea what your situation is, mate, so I can't comment on that. Fighting Troll says he was paid up. Yep. Hello, lad. You okay? Yes, little Mark. I am great, mate. I hope you are too, and hope you have a fantastic week. The cosmetics was decent. The fights were terrible, says Nilo. The thing is with bare knuckle boxing, Nilo, right? It's not like boxing or white collar boxing. It's not like that. You know, there's never going to be 3 2-minute rounds. It's brawling. It's like a fight down the big market in Newcastle, mate. That's what it is. And I think if you're going to accept what it is, that's it. It's only when you go to see somebody like Mickey Terrell or Kevin Bennett or Michael Ferry up our way, those kind of fighters, Gary Furby, Danny Christie, these kind of fighters that are fighting men who get in the ring and are artists, and they can box a bit, they've got a bit about them. You're going to see decent fights then. But like I say, Nilo, you've got to start somewhere. This is the start. There was some good fights on that show. There was some good scraps, and you can't always get it right. You can't always get it right. It's down to the matchmaking as well. The matchmaking's got to be right. And Nilo, if you're expecting a good fight out of YouTubers, I'm afraid it's never going to happen, mate. It's never going to happen. Sean Atwood against the other podcaster in Scotland. I don't want to say his name in case he strikes me video, but that would be good. If they're going to agree on which discipline that they're going to fight, that would be really, really good. I think they both give it a good go, and they both fight. They both got fighting experience. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. Good job, Rocco. Pay-per-view, perfect. Yeah, Rocco did a good job. I was speaking to him this morning, and he's got a busy day ahead. He's editing all the fights. I jumped on Ditchy's live yesterday, and I know he was asking whether the fights are going to be put out, and that's what Rocco said. Yeah. 100%, that's the plan. He's editing stuff out now, and it'll all be going up onto YouTube, apparently. Shame to see Dean start on the Swan. He was trying to protect Mick Ord from being stamped on. If there was security, this incident wouldn't have happened. Levi, there was security at the venue. What I'll say about that is emotions can get very, very high, Levi, on fight night. And, when it's your event and you're trying to put on a good show and you don't want any trouble, and somebody oversteps the mark or somebody does something which is, not protocol, then you're going to react accordingly. And look, it was literally handbags. There was no punches thrown. There was nothing out of the ordinary. We've seen it. We've seen, I think it was one of the YouTube channels who I shared the thing yesterday. I shared one of his videos yesterday. I think he had a little bit of footage on. Look, he was just putting him in his place and telling him he shouldn't have done that. And yeah, Swanee knows now, and he's come out and I think he's apologised about jumping in the ring. So that's yesterday's, it's yesterday's fish and chip wrappers, that one. Catapult Kipper Snipper says, I've seen more people lining up for me local chippy on a Saturday night. I tell you what, it's another thing. I know you were having a dig at the venue and the show, but that Catapult, the food at Bowlers, right? And bearing in mind, all I had that night was a coffee, a bottle of water, but I bought a double bacon cheeseburger and chips. And I'm not being funny. That is the best food I've had at a boxing venue in my life. So if you go to Bowlers, I fully recommend getting the food from the from the kiosk. Absolutely superb. Burgers were like Burger King. They were like Burger King. Fantastic. So it was good. Jojo says it looked empty. Yeah, it does look empty. And Liz Reynolds says, yep, half empty. It's going to look half empty if it's a capacity of 3,000. And as I say, if somebody can find out, you can Google it. If you can Google it and say this, is it 3,000 capacity? But we've only got 1,200 people in. That's not even half full. And that's what the point was made earlier on about being over ambitious, aiming higher. You know what I mean? Had that been done in a social club in Salford, for like I started with, it would have sold out. It would have been sold out. It would have been chock-a-block. It would have been like a bear pit, and everyone would have been raving about it. Because they've tried to be a bit ambitious and put it in a fantastic venue. Anybody who was at the show will tell you it was a good venue, and that's everyone has started the podcasts. Even people who haven't been there at the show have started it and gone, great venue. Yeah, it is a great venue. So. I'll stand by what I say anyway. What about Bobby K leaving with fighting Trolls' sister? I didn't know this. This has got to be an allegedly Geordie G. I'm not sure he scored that. Get up. Well, I'm not. Listen, I'm not going to start putting rumours around like that. That's an allegedly Geordie G, and that is on your toes. Daniel needs an honourable mention. Yeah, that's the video. That is the video I shared. Sadly, highlight of the night. I've got to be honest. I watched it back a couple of times, and I've never seen anyone. Well, I've seen people fall in a bin. I've seen people fall in a bin backwards. I've not actually seen anybody appear to put themselves in the bin, which is what that seemed to be. The highlight was actually us saying somebody pushed me in. That then told us, I think, how much she'd had to drink. But bless her, she'll not live that down. I hope Paul has sent that into. You've Been Framed, or whoever filmed it sent it in. You've Been Framed, because there's £250 winging it your way. Catapult, that's harsh. No actual fighters, none have got paid, says Magoo. Again, how do you know that? I don't know that. I'm sure other people don't know that, and I've seen plenty of people come out and say that they have been paid. Embarrassing event, Lucas. We are there. We're actually there. Fighters will be paid this week, guys, says Geordie G. So there you go. Hit the likes, everyone. Thank you, Mark Law. Thank you. Full of fiction, you lad. And then a picture of a rat. Thank you, Geordie boy. Not sure why or what you would say, but I'm just giving a comment about the boxing, unless you're referring to the ongoing YouTube battle that I've got. Come on, Joe, you should do this on your own channel and you get more than 70 watching. This Wraith is a wronging, lads. You come to know that. Wolves FC Mexico. I'm not a wronging, mate, at all. And, the fact that I'm prepared to put your comments up on the page, I'm sure that will tell you. You probably support Sunderland. You probably don't support Wolves. He worked himself up, says Gola Short. Yeah, I think he did. Dougie Joyce spent all the money on that's Hayfrey Stable. Again, Steve Boy, these kind of comments, ludicrous, mate. Absolutely ludicrous. The fighters and boxers are going to get paid. Let's see what else we've got out there. Every YouTuber has been given the memo to pick up the shaman of the event. Definitely not, mate. I've chosen to come on. I knew it would be something that would be of interest. I am a YouTuber, and I know that people will be interested in my opinion. The difference is I was there. You weren't there, clearly. And, I've not heard from Dougie and Dean since the night of the fight. So there we go. Geordie G says, I was on the D-Day card, Stephen Dunson, and I hated waiting. I prefer to get in there and get it done. Yeah, that's my point exactly, man. As a promoter, I know that. I've seen it with fighters. I have fighters who've come and said, I want to be on first. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Depends where the opponent's coming from, etc. You know what I mean? Okay, Adam says, when you were a promoter, would you have sanctioned a fight with an old man with one eye? If not, would you think it's acceptable now? Adam, yes, I do. And I'll tell you why. Because the guy is constantly provoking me and provoking Stephen on the internet. And on more than one occasion, he's been offered an opportunity of a fight. There's been £10,000 offered for him to take it up, and he decides not to. I've offered to go on his YouTube channel. I've offered to go on an independent YouTube channel. I've offered to meet him face to face. None of this works. None of this is accepted. It gets deflected and deflected. He starts coming out with new stories and more bizarre allegations. And Adam, that's it. It's as simple as that, really, mate. What can we do to stop it? We can't. He's just going to continue to make videos and make lies and make himself look stupid. And from my point of view, I was asked to do that one last time. Dougie and Dean, I'm sure, will put something out in due course when the next show is ready, because they would like to see this happen. But yeah, would I have put this fight on? I'd love to, because pay-per-view, it would smash it and it would sell out. I'm not sure whether the police and the authorities will allow it to happen, but believe you me, it's a fight that should happen. They're both the same age. They both come from the same kind of background, i.e. West End of Newcastle. They both can't stand each other, and it will be a winner. So I think most people in Newcastle would like to see this fight happen. That was why I was more than happy to get up in the ring and offer him the opportunity to take the fight, instead of sitting on YouTube and slagging people off and making things up and making perverted things up about me, about Stephen, and about anybody else. And what he's doing is really, he's making a rod for his own back in the YouTube community. And I'm quite happy to sit back now and allow him to do it again. We've had a good week. We've proved him to be a liar, proved him to be an idiot. And we've now, once again, put out a challenge, this time through a reputable bare-knuckle boxing organisation, and it's up to him to accept it. And if he doesn't accept it, what does that tell you? But once again, I'll reiterate, I am more than happy to go and sit with him in a room, go and meet him, go and discuss things with him face to face, but he won't do it. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why he won't do that. And, I can't do any more than that. That's all I can do. So we will crack on. Were you at the same event that I watched, says Catapult? Yes, I was, mate. Can't please everyone, says Geordie G. Paul did well for his first ever fight, says Scottish Lass. I agree, 100%. Liz says, get a grip. Popeye needs a slap. Geordie G says, one eye and a hernia, Adam. Doctor won't let it happen. There's lots of get out clauses. I can appreciate that. But Stephen's got a hernia. I'm pretty sure Stephen would be, more than happy to get in the ring and do this for charity. Pure Blood, 3D Fight Club should have used the backstory of the fighters to sell the fight. Yeah, look, again, Pure Blood, that's a great suggestion. And I think moving forward, they will. You've got to remember that they were thrown into complete disarray behind the scenes with John's death. And if Ash hadn't stepped up to the plate, then it wouldn't have gone as well as it did, is my honest opinion. Dean and Dougie promoted it, pushed things out there. Dean did a hell of a lot of work on the night as well. And, Ash really, stepped up to the plate, mate. But I think the 3D Fight Club, moving forward will do that. And I think video content and pushing out these people's stories, it can only get better. If you start off with your first event and hit the heights at the start, then, ultimately, where do you go from there? So there's going to be problems. There's going to be teething problems. And that's it. I think they will only get better. Catherine, I don't know, is the honest answer. I know from my perspective, back in the day, away fighters would get paid a set fee. Home fighters would get paid a percentage of, a set fee plus a percentage of ticket sales. But every fight organization is different. Nilo says they should have been pulling lads off the streets and not out of rehab faculties. Nilo, look, people put themselves forward for this. It's difficult to get, when you start off doing a show, it's difficult to get fighters. Other people are contracted to other organizations. So, beggars can't be choosers. There was a good mix of, fighters, good BKB fighters, and new fighters and YouTubers, and that's all you can that's all you can ask for. Danny Christie gave Swan the knockout of the night. Levi, couldn't disagree at all. It was that's what I'm saying. There was something for everybody, Levi, and it wasn't a great card, but sometimes that's what happens. I think there was a couple of fights got pulled as well due to medical reasons, which is fine. Geordie G says fighting trolls couldn't fight sleep. Did you see him? Fair play to the kid for getting in, mate. Geordie, honestly, it takes absolute balls of steel to do that, mate. Okay, Paul Venus and Danny Christie both said they have never left the venue without being paid, normally paid prior to the event or even on the night. But Fionn, that can happen. Yeah. It depends what the organisation says before. Geordie boy, Kane Hutchinson, this thing that he's coming out with is absolute bollocks, mate. And if you want to believe that and you want to spread that kind of rubbish on the internet, then you go for it, mate. You crack on. I'll not ban you from the channel. I'll let you crack on. I won't switch my comments off like he does. And the Corporation Club, lads, I've never drank there in my life, mate. So, again, utter rubbish. And the fact that your hero is now mentioning other people in it, he's just creating a rod for his own back, which he seems to enjoy. But the fact he never goes out of his shed, apart from to go shopping or to go to see Bull, it tells you all you need to know. Just watch that video back when they're doing the live. I did catch it the other night when they're knocking on the door. Christ almighty, who is it? Absolutely pathetic, man. Absolutely pathetic. And, that's the kind of person you hero worship, Geordie boy. Says a lot about you, son. I'm quiet. I'm typing, not talking, says Liz. I don't rate Danny Duval at all, says Fionn. Yeah, I mean, again, it's all about opinions, isn't it? There's a lot of people who I think ultimately are, good fighters. Some people just don't rate at all. You know what I mean? And I managed Gary Furby during his early unlicensed shows, and I thought he was great, but a lot of people didn't like him. Don't think he was much good, but he was a good fighter. But it's all down to opinions. That's what makes it interesting. Pure Blood says, I enjoyed the fight. It was just the production and the lack of experience and promotion which let them down. And like I said, Pure Blood, ultimately, it's about, learning from your mistakes. Learning your mistakes. Geordie G says, I don't rate Hatchet. He swings widely. I think there's a tendency, and again, I'm a promoter, I'm not a fighter. I think there's a tendency just to get overexcited in a situation like that. He got in and he just wanted to get in and do the business, and that's what he did. So, I'm sure if he was up against a stronger opponent, he would be more disciplined. That's my take on that. It's Knockout Central, Steve. Love and prayers from Dublin, Ireland. Darren, yeah, that's what BKB is. That's why it's exciting. Do you know what I mean? And it's great to watch. Tracy, hi, I hope you're well. Nilo says Bobby K shouldn't be near a ring, at least without being clean and training for a year. Look, I don't know what his situation is, Nilo, but he was compass mentis when he arrived. He actually looked well. He looked better. I mean, he looked better than he did on his videos that I'd seen. So for me, he was spot on. He turned up, he was there, and that's all I can say about Bobby K. The Swan versus Ben Hatchet. That would be a good fight, by the way. Yeah, and like I say, Ben Hatchet wouldn't be swinging wildly on that show, I don't think. But it's good. We'll go from the wood is poo. I said months ago there would be grumbles after the night about people not getting paid. You could see it a mile off. I can't imagine fighting trolls will rock the boat much, though. Again, like this not being paid scenario, let's wait and see what happens this week. You know what I mean? If the fighters will be on YouTube crying if they'd been told that we're going to get paid before or paid on the night, let's just leave it to the lads, and we'll see what happens. I'm sure things will be sorted out. What experience has Ben got, Steve? He hasn't been hit yet. Well, Nilo, yeah, that's a good point. But you don't get paid for overtime, as I said earlier. And I've seen some of his fights on YouTube, and he goes for it. You know what I mean? He's entertaining, and he's a talker, and he sells a fight. That's why Ben Hatchet is good. It's why Paul fighting trolls was good for the show. It's why living in London was good for the show. Talked it up, promoted it. That's what you need. It's like Sears versus Conroy would be a good show. It would, the lead up to that would be absolutely fascinating. They'd both be going hammer and tongs on each other's YouTube. It's a promoter's dream to have that kind of fight on. It's why Stu Armstrong, who's been involved in BKB for years, called that fight out originally. It would be good to see them go. Why not settle a beef like that? Why not get it sorted out? You know what I mean? And people saying because Paddy's got one eye, it's a disadvantage. Well, he's putting his mouth out there. It's put up or shut up. That's what we're saying. It's put up or shut up. Get yourself out there and do what's right. You know what I mean? Stop hiding behind people. People who you sit and make, you sit and make your mouth go. Stop hiding behind people. Come out and have that fight with Stephen. That's all you need to do. It would be the talk of Tyneside, that fight, and Dean and Dougie, the two guys behind us, are the men to get that on. So hopefully it will happen. Chaser will put Ben to sleep. He hasn't fought anyone yet. Chaser has too much, says Geordie G. Big up Steve, says Pork Dread. I hope you're well, mate. I hope everything I hope you have a good morning. Pablo has vanished from YouTube. Don't know what's going on there. Doris Pooh has his own opinion. Fighting trolls, fights like a girl. He needs to retire. It's not for him. Again, it takes balls to get in there, man. It really does. Tracy says Decker and Dean main event. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens at some point. And that won't please the people, out there. I know that much. But Decker and Dean on an event would blow the internet up, because a lot of people would want to see Decker Heggie in a ring. I know that. I think a lot of level-headed people know that. Most people would perhaps say, that should never happen. But, as somebody who was promoted in the past, again, that is an event that I think people would want to see. It's going to happen. We know it's happening in June anyway. We know it's happening on the two YouTube channels. But, is that something that the public would want to see? Tell us in the chat. I'll stay on for another 15 minutes. Swan versus Hatchet needs to happen, says Emily Luca. Yeah, I mean, that would be a good fight. That really would be a good fight. Nilo says Swan versus Ben. I'd like to see the Swan would tear him up. So that's interesting. Certainly the public keen on that. Feelings is in Belfast. I'm not sure what that means. It's only good if they get paid. Well, yeah. Look, as I say, give them an opportunity. What's this? Geordie boy Malak Green, R.I.P. The Corby lads are now talking. I've got no idea who Malak Green is. Stevie, why did you stop putting the shows on, or do you still put them on? I turned pro, mate. So I went into the pro game from the unlicensed, and I've done the pro game for 9 years. I've just relinquished my promoter's license. I'm managing Stephen Sayers' son, who's turned pro as cruiserweight, and he will be making his debut on Matchroom Show at the weekend. And moving forward from there, I'm also looking after Jeff Saunders. I've relinquished the contracts with the other fighters who I was managing. Once I've done that, I'm going to move on. I may go into the 3D Fight Club with the guys if that happens. Who knows? Let's see what happens. The Wood is Pooh says apologies to the girls here. It's just you could see it in his technique, but plenty of girls who are skilled fighters now. Probably a bit sexist, my last comment. Okay, fair enough, mate. Nilo says the Swan shouldn't have jumped in the ring, but Dean went over the top. He should have took him back out for a word and fined him 25%. Look, Nilo, again, I don't think Dino went over the top, mate. He made his point. He didn't, and Swanee took it, and I think they've made that. There's no beef in that. They've sorted it out. So as I say, emotions are high ringside. And when you've got a show and you want everything to go well, he was angry, which is fair enough, but it passed quickly, and I think that they're all fine. Just watched the Charlie videos, Charlie Salvador, of course. Brilliant, mate. Thank you, Kev. Yeah, check out the playlist, Charlie Salvador playlist. Well worth watching. I'm not sure about the Sly head, but there was a couple of fights where I've seen that happening. Liz says Dean was over the top of the Swan. Look, there's no beef with that, I'm afraid. Belfast says, I'm writing to the Grand Lodge requesting your removal for bringing Freemasonry into disrepute. Go for it, Belfast. I'm not at all bringing Freemasonry into dispute, and doing a podcast doesn't come into that. And I think you'll find that you'll get a short shrift by doing that, my friend. So don't waste your pen and paper. Good night out, yes, but I wouldn't watch at home or in the pub again. Terrible, says Nilo. Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of people saying pay-per-view. Shambles, says Roaster, but I'm sure they will come out and speak in due course. Was Carnage, says somebody. If you watch it again, look how he tries to land ahead. Somebody has put a class video up showing it. These things happen in the fight game. Ben's the only one who got paid. Look again. I'm sure this will all come out in truth. So I wouldn't continue to say those things until everybody knows. Ben half embarrassed himself. Ben Hatchett embarrassed himself as King of Diamonds. I don't think he did. Can I ask why Douglas and Dean have gone missing? Ben, no idea, mate. No idea at all. I'm just coming on to do a review of a show that I was at. The stream money was crucial because that's flopped. There's now serious cash flow issues. Again, that's an accusation, an allegation, which I can't really say yes or no to. I'll go and check it out. I thought he bullied the lad out. No need for that. Okay, Neil, no problem, mate. Okay. Belfast says, you're supporting heroin dealers and serious criminals, Steve. It's embarrassing. When you do a podcast, interview show like I do, mate, you speak to different people. A lot of the podcasts I've done, Belfast, are with people who've turned their lives around. I don't promote heroin dealers. I don't promote serious criminals. I talk about their lives. They're now reformed criminals. And I have a publishing company which does books, and therefore I need to promote them. So when you go into Freemasonry, you have to declare A, you haven't got a criminal record. B, whether you've had a criminal record in the past or whether you've had any crimes, whether you've got anything against you. Bit like being a school governor, really. And from my perspective, I passed all the tests, mate, because I'm an honest guy. So, as I say, don't waste your time, mate. Did they get their money then? All lives have a backstory. No idea, mate. Ben's the main man on the event, though, Steve, but still a massive undertaking for the 3D boys. You learn from this. Look at the first UFC compared to now. It's all about experience, says Mark. 100% agree with you, mate. Paddy's not got the minerals nowadays, says Lily Toxicity. Yeah, I mean, what if he hasn't got the minerals to have a fight with Stephen? That's fine, right? But why hasn't he got the minerals to allow me on his podcast? I went on twice, fair enough, under false names the other week, and he kicked us off both times. Why didn't he just leave us on there and have a discussion? And I would have had a discussion with him. Believe you me, I would have had a discussion about him. He keeps saying, do KRN. So I go to KRN. I say, I'm going to go on to that show, Lily. And then he turns the tables. I don't want to do it on there. I want to do it on Sean Atwood. I want such and such Christian from KRN to do the thing. He moves the goalpost, man. It's so obvious. It's just distraction tactics. Now he's trying to nonce us off with this whole Kane Hutchinson story, which is utter bollocks. And he's just really becoming... he's just like a child. He thinks he's tormenting me. He thinks I lose sleep over it. He thinks I'm like, constantly walking around like he is, nervous and looking over my shoulder. I'm not. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just playing the game on YouTube because it makes people watch it and it makes me money. So I'm honest. I'll every now and then I'll do something. I'll put something out there. And I don't work for the Sears family. Became friends with the Sears family when I was on the doors. Got to know a lot of the families. I got to know the Conroys, got to know the Tams, got to know them all. Ultimately, it's just sad, Lily. You know what I mean? It really is sad. And there'll never be an end to it until his YouTube channel either gets taken down or he moves on. Whatever, who knows? But it'll create entertainment for people out there. I'm sure of that. And I'll always speak my mind, and I'll always come back out and say what I've got to say. So, good luck to them on their campaign of embarrassment. What's Charlie's view on the shed man bottling it? He doesn't like him, Kev. Believe you me. And the lads who went in Strangeways prison with, were in Strangeways when Paddy was in there. There's some interesting stories. He was on Rule 43. He was on the numbers. And the only time he came out was when Massey came in. And when Massey got moved to Franklin, he went back on the numbers. Dean was telling us down there. Dean knows a lot of people from Strangeways, and everybody knows that he's not to be trusted. It's as simple as that. Aaron Pearson says, hope all the pay-per-view is refunded as everyone who didn't pay watched it for free live. Again, that's not my side of things. Yeah, got to agree. King of Diamonds, and lovely photograph there. Great to hear from Mr. Salvador. Be amazing to see him in the ring. Touch wood. Daryl, 100%, mate. He's doing really well. His parole hearing is coming up in June, so fingers crossed. Other fighters paid, James, I don't know. Let's get down to the last. Got about 8 minutes left. Until they are paid, questions will be asked, of course. I understand that. Let's see what Charlie thinks of Paddy when he gets out. His opinion is very forthright on him. He knows, somebody who's been in prison as long as him knows exactly what Conroy is. I got an intact refund through PayPal, took less than 5 minutes and got to watch most of it for free, so can't complain. Onwards and upwards. Next one should be mint. Dazza, great stuff, mate. So there you go. Nice to hear people have been refunded if they've asked for it. Ben, on the Swan fight should be great. Yeah, I think so. We had named that the wood is poo. Is that grot bags on there? There's going to be lots of grumbling now because only way fighters getting paid. What they expect is if 3D owners go into pocket and I can't see it, I doubt there'll be another one. Okay, well, that's your opinion. Why was it for free and then charging people again? I don't know. Is Paddy fighting then? No, of course he's not. He did a little live yesterday. Somebody sent us the 10-second clip of it where he said, I'm not fighting him. So, yeah, of course he's not. Course he's not. They put it on for free when they realized it had failed. All right, okay. Streamed on YouTube, but charged the poor people who fell for it being pay-per-view. I'm sure people will get refunds. I'm sure they will. Give them time to get it sorted out. Things like that can't happen overnight. Somebody's already said they've been refunded. I thought that he'd done this podcast to see if the guys got paid. Maybe not, Steve. All right, okay. Very rare to profit on a first event. I agree. Had the stream not failed, they wouldn't have done the free stream. The one saying it took multiple payments are either stupid and kept buying it, or they're just talking, where's the proof? Okay. Lots of people saying, did they get paid? I can't answer that. Morning, Ash. Hope you're well, mate. Well done again on a fantastic show, mate. You were absolutely superb. Credit to you, mate. Well done. Well done. The best part of the night was fighting Trolls' sister going in the bin. It wasn't, mate. It was a lot more than that. James, again, you're saying people are getting ripped off, but there's no proof of that at this moment in time. Wait until the dust settles. I think lots of the multiple payment grumbles are people lying, not all 90%. I agree. Why would I take a lie detector test, Ben? Why would I take one? I've got no reason to take one. I've not committed a crime. And I'm not paying £500 to take a lie detector to answer stupid questions by some Neanderthal sitting in a shed talking absolute crap while he smokes a crack pipe. Simple as that, Ben. Happy to jump on. Okay, mate, I can get you on for 5 minutes, 2 seconds, mate. I'll just drop the link in, Ash. Right, you should get that now. I'll stick it in the chat, mate. We'll do 5 minutes together. If you're all right with that, jump on. To be fair about the internet, a lot of people have problems streaming that Eddie Hall fight in the same night. Yeah, that's what happens. Ash, did the fighters get paid? He's saying, Steve, I was disappointed with the referee. Couldn't have been a better spectacle with some of the bouts. The place looked empty, says Lily, more because of the size of the place. That's what it was. There were 3 good fights, Steve. Not all. Yeah, okay, mate. That's fair enough. First time, niggles are to be expected. Next one should be better. Wish I lived local. Would have been a good night out, says King of Diamonds. Yeah, it was definitely a good night out. Ben says, why did none of the fighters get paid? Because Dean and Dougie are still counting the money. The mug is all off. Ben, again, ridiculous. Look at your comments and stop waffling, Steve. I am looking at the comments. I'm going through them. It takes time to get through them. Jeff says, I contacted Facebook and said I couldn't see the stream. Wasn't even complaining, really, just reporting. I received a refund in 24 hours. No problems at all. Not a scam. Liz says, I watched for free off another streamer streaming on his page. I've watched footage from God knows how many channels. You can see the place was off empty. You could see the carnage of what others filmed. Then we've got this one. Didn't appear to be real. Any incentive to sell the event properly. Fighters weren't incentivized to sell tickets, which they should have been. And Nilo says, no, Steve, I didn't expect much from YouTubers. To be fair, it wasn't looking like that at all. And good stuff. Had a feeling all sad YouTube Chinese whispers. Ash has been brilliant from start to finish, says Scott. Ash, if you're still there, jump in the chat, mate, and click on the link. It would be good to have you on. I got money back today, says Tracy. My pay-per-view is still pending and has not come out, and it's the only one that's pending. Why didn't the fighters get paid before they left the arena? Was the place packed out? 1,200 there. Do the right thing, says Steve. You can beat lie detectors. I have loads of really good reader material on how to. Yeah, I've seen them all, mate. So please tell Paddy and his ladies in the shed to show what they are hiding. Yeah, you're never going to get anything out of that. Nasty Habits crew, I will bring you in if you're ready. I don't know whether he's disappeared. Yeah, somebody in there wanted to jump on, but not. Maybe they've clicked the wrong link. Blah, blah, blah. It says political bias against the right. I think you're right. Kick from studio. Kick that one. Right, Nasty Habits crew, I'll bring you in. Hello, mate.
You're right, mate. How you doing, Steve?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. Yeah, the 3D Fight Club, mate, was a load of fucking bollocks, bruv. They're all fucking con artists. They're all fucking idiots. And they're all counting the money. That's why you haven't seen them for the last few days, because they're counting the fucking dough that they've robbed everyone for.
I mean, did you go to the show?
No, I didn't need to, but I've seen plenty of it. Don't you worry. Right. I keep an eye on all the what's going on.
I mean, that's fair play. Look, I'm always open to a good debate about stuff, mate. And look, I can only speak as a fan. I went down. I didn't, didn't have a bad day at all. As I say, I wasn't down on the drink, or partying. I went down, had a bottle of water, coffee, and I'd like burger and chips. But you know what, mate? I enjoyed it as a spectacle. But yeah, look, I think you give the guys a few days to see what happens, and then I think then people can make their own mind up for themselves. I'd like to think.
I'm very skeptical.
I would like to think, mate, that things get sorted out in the next few days and everybody's happy. But it will be.
And me, I hope they do. Yeah, they deserve it. Them fighters deserve it, mate. They really do.
Yeah. I mean, what did you think? What did you think of the actual fights themselves?
Well, like I say, none of them are professional, are they? You can tell that. But a couple of good ones. The Swan. Yeah, nice left off him. Finished the show. I was quite surprised with. Sorry, hold on. I was quite surprised with the Ben Hatchett one again.
Yeah,
didn't last very long again. I tell you, it would be a good opponent for him, Danny Christie.
Yeah,
I tell you what, that'd be a good fight. Danny Christie.
A lot of people saying Swanee as well would be good. I think Swanee would be good with Ben Hatchett.
Nah, I reckon Ben would do him. I think it was just a lucky one from Swan. He has got a good art in that, but I just think it was a lucky one. I think Ben would have him. Yeah, be another one of them.
I'd love to see Kevin Bennett from Hartlepool have a scrap with one of them as well, because he's a cracking fighter. He was cracking on the big.
Yeah, he's a good fighter. Brilliant fighter. Yeah. Well, like I say, next couple of days, what's happened with Dean and Dougie, and hopefully we can get a number 2 one. We can get another one going.
Fingers crossed, mate. Thanks for popping on and giving us your honesty. Thanks for giving us your honesty, mate. As I say, like I try to play everyone's comments. I try to put everybody on, even people who are having a pop at me. I don't mind sharing those comments and letting people say what they want to say. But listen, you take care, mate. Have a good week. And
you, mate. Thanks for letting me on.
Take care, pal.
Okay, see you. Cheers, mate.
Bye, mate. Bye. Yeah, it's all about opinions, and Nasty Habits crew has got that opinion, and let's see what happens over the next few days. Oh, sorry, Neilo, if I have, mate, I didn't mean to. You stand in the East Belfast, okay, mate. People saying fighters, promoters going missing. The show was Saturday, it's only Monday. Give them a chance. Yeah, you can't reason with unreasonable people, i.e., Paddy. And proud to be a Geordie. Yes, he certainly has. There's no doubt about that. And I think everybody can see that. And, again, I think that will only lead to misery further down the road. We all know that he falls out with people at some point in time. And when he does, like at the moment, they say, we're never going to fall out, but just take something to set that man into overdrive, and he falls out with the wrong person again. Why is everyone asking if they've been paid? It's no one's business, says Little Mark. Let's listen to Ash and bin this guy off. Ash was on, but he's disappeared. He's on the road. It's clear that his internet wasn't working, which is sad. He's a big fella. Careful, Steve. Danny would have annihilated Ben. Danny Christie would have eaten Ben with his hands tied. I used to fight, but I'm all right now, says Kev. And just finishing off with this one, Danny Christie would destroy him. I like Ben, but Christie is differently. Ben is fighting Chazza, says Matthew K. Kelsey, I'll read yours out because you're one of my regulars. Someone in the chat, is this one a fighter or a YouTuber? Sorry if it's a daft question. I don't want to watch fights, but he looks a funny guy. He's another reformed criminal, reformed addict who's come out of jail, and he was trying to make ends meet. So that's who Swanee is. Danny would annihilate most, and Snow Malone, I will get you on my channel, mate. Let's try and get this sorted out. I will drop you a message on Insta at some point. My favourite fight was definitely fighting Trolls, mate. Really, really good. But I covered that at the start of the show. Right, I've got to go, folks. But thank you for joining us. We've done an hour, and I hope everyone's vented their spleen and got their opinion across. Take care. Be back soon.